In this overnight news, this was the scene where investigators are still trying to figure out how one person died. Police say the person was found dead in a parked car about midnight near Broadway and Lomas. One officer on the scene tells us there was a shooting, but that was all the information given. Police have been at the scene all night as they continue to investigate. As you can see, some people at the scene got very emotional. We, of course, will keep you updated on the situation as soon as we get more information. Happening now, UNM has one word for Lobo fans this morning: noodles.
Yeah, Craig Neal is now officially the head coach of the men's basketball team for the Lobos. UNM's athletic director Paul Krebs made the announcement yesterday afternoon, first with a tweet simply saying what Elizabeth said: noodles. That is Neal's nickname from when he played because he was so lanky, tall and thin guy. He played 8 seasons in the NBA for the Toronto Raptors and has been UNM's assistant coach for the past 6 years with Steve Alford. Now stick around in a half hour. We'll talk about Coach Neal's new contract and see if he has any changes in store for the Lobos. Now, speaking of Steve Alford, he has abandoned his famous cherry blazer, donning powder blue and gold, now that he's officially the coach of the UCLA Bruins.
Please know I'm leaving somewhere that I have an awful lot of love and admiration for in the University of New Mexico. It's not easy when you're 29-6 and you've won back-to-back conference and tournament championships and you return your entire starting 5. That's a difficult thing to leave.
That is Coach Alford being introduced to Southern California yesterday with the cheerleaders there too. It was just 4 days ago, remember, when he announced he was taking a job with the Bruins, a 7-year deal worth at least $2.6 million per year. There's still a debate on how much Alford owes UNM for ditching Loboland. We'll take a look at that coming up in about a half hour as well. Elizabeth?
Out of their news this morning, Albuquerque police officers say they try to avoid rough situations, but sometimes things just escalate. Not only is their line of work a dangerous one, but it's proving to be an expensive one too. Since 2001, APD has spent more than $20 million taxpayer dollars to settle lawsuits stemming from police misconduct, everything from deadly shootings to excessive force to wrongful arrests. The money to pay for the claims comes from the city's risk fund, which has tens of millions of dollars.
This isn't anything like a mushroom patch that popped up overnight. The city's always had to pay out when they're at fault.
This year, APD set aside just under $10 million for legal claims, with a total budget of about $200 million a year. A former Sandoval County Sheriff deputy who was hurt in a deadly shootout with the so-called Cookie Bandit back in 2009 now plans to fight a judge's ruling that hurts her lawsuit against her old bosses. Yeah,
yesterday the judge threw out Teresa Moriarty's claim that the sheriff's office sent her and her partner, Sergeant Joe Harris, into a dangerous situation unprepared, without backup or a way to call for help. That situation was when the two went into the Jemez Mountains to go after the Cookie Bandit, Joseph Burgess. Well, both Burgess and Sergeant Harris died in the shootout. A federal judge ruled the two deputies were trained, then sent to other parts of Moriarty's lawsuit to state court.
She's not disputing that she was a certified law enforcement officer. However, at that point in her life and in her career, she had joined Sandoval County specifically to do school resource work.
Moriarty and her lawyer plan to fight the judge's ruling.
Roswell police are still searching for 2 of their most wanted suspects. 20-year-old Samuel Cifuentes is wanted for a drive-by shooting from over the weekend. Officers responded to shots fired call in the 500 block of East McGaffey on Saturday. No one was hurt. Cifuentes is facing aggravated assault and other charges. An update now to a story that we told you about yesterday. A total of 48 dogs are now in custody this morning.
As sheriff's deputies and animal control officers took them from the home of a former veterinarian who has been in a lot of trouble for the last year. Investigators raided Deborah Clapton's home in Edgewood on Monday and said some of those dogs they took were sadly in bad shape. Deputies also say they found euthanasia drugs, vet papers, records, and billing info, even though Clapton lost her license last year.
We believe that she is practicing. Articles and items that we located within the residence, including the narcotics, gives us belief that she is still practicing veterinary medicine within that residence.
Deputies arrested Ms. Clapton on drug charges and say she could face animal cruelty charges too. She lost her license after she was fined for having too many dogs at her home in Rio Rancho last year. And investigators in Torrance County sadly have a similar situation on their hands. They say they found 57 dogs at Dee Dee's Kennel off Highway 41 between Moriarty and Estancia. 15 were already dead, and all but 5 others had to be put down because they were in such bad shape. The kennel's owner, Shannon Johnson, now faces a number of charges, including animal cruelty. Deputies are still trying to figure out if the dogs were hers or if she was supposed to be taking care of them for others. All right, finally, a problem house in the Northeast Heights that we've been talking about what seems like forever is now nothing but bits and pieces.
Demolition finally started on the home on Lexington Avenue near Candelaria yesterday morning. The house had been the scene of 3 fires, 2 since January. In one of them, the body of an elderly woman who was living at the house was found inside. Albuquerque's Safe City Strike Force team had promised to tear the place down for a while, but it wasn't until Monday that a judge finally okayed the demolition. The property owner will have to repay the city for the cost.